Hello traders, good evening. Before we start, the link to all the charts that we will be discussing is given in the description below. Along with that, if you like the content of the video, please like, share, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel and click on the notification icon. Today is September 22nd, and in this video we are going to go through the support and resistance areas that the market has for tomorrow and the rest of the week, and then we will talk about what are the possible scenarios that we can look at. And since this is the beginning of the week, I have done a detailed analysis of the 4-hour and the 1-hour chart. So stick till the end of the video to get all the information out of this. So as always, let us start on the monthly chart. On the monthly chart, we see that we had this breakout above this 57.21 line, which was a previous high, and also the ATH. And we have created a new high around the 57.97 area. And then we have started pulling back. So on the monthly chart now, we will have to see that even if the price pulls back here, it is in a trading range right now. If the price pulls back here, it should hold on to this previous high, the 5721 area. If this 5721 fails, it can actually be a major failure, and there may be bears here who will try to sell more. At that point of time, it will actually look like a failed breakout to the top. But then again, we need to be careful that the price may just break down 5721, do a couple of legs to the downside, and then move back up again. So in that case, it will just become a breakout retest by the bulls, and then the price may actually start moving up once again. So that is all we have on the monthly chart. These are the different important levels that we have on the monthly chart. The levels are very wide, so we'll have to scale them down when we are looking at the lower time frame charts. With that, let us move on to the weekly chart right now. Now let us take a look at the weekly chart. On the weekly chart, this was the previous high. This is the new high that we have. And at this point of time, I have this trend line drawn here just to make sure that if we are coming back up in this area, this can actually act as a wedge on the weekly level, and then we can start pulling back strongly. On the weekly chart, we did go above the previous all-time high. We could not hold that level, and we pulled back quite a lot on Friday. Right now, what we see that the week opened at the exact spot where we had the Friday closed, and then we will see what happens to this overnight. What I'm also noticing is this was the second drop below this particular trend line that we had on the weekly. We tried to push back up there again and failed. Right now, that area will be the 5774 or the 5773 area, which we will see on the lower time frame has been a very solid resistance on the upside for now. So that 5773 area can actually act as a resistance again, and that will be the failure at this particular trend line, and from there the bears may actually start selling once more, and then we will have to see if we are breaking down any of the major lows. But at this point of time, on the upside, this 5773 will work as a very good area of resistance. Now if the 5773 holds and the price starts coming down on the weekly chart, this 5744 or the 43 area will also act as a very good area of support. If you see, we have broken out of this particular weekly bars open, and we are holding that level for now. So if we come down here, this can be another area where the bulls may start to buy once more. However, if the bulls are weak there, and if we are seeing strong bear bars still coming down on the lower time frame charts, we may come and test this 5731 to the 5718 area. And if we remember from the monthly chart, the 5721 to 18 area will also be a very good support. So what I'm thinking is, if we are not getting above this 5773, and tomorrow morning when the market opens we start selling right from there, and we do not find support at 5744, then it is highly probable we will get to this 5731 to the 18 level, especially the 21 to the 18 level, and then we will see if the bears are still strong at that point. Then we will try to see if they can bring it down to the 5700s once again. On the upside, again, I want to see that 5773 is taken out. If 5773 is taken out, we can at least try to reach this previous breakout point once again at 5783.75. And if we can get above that, if the bulls are strong enough and the bears are allowing it, then we may actually come and hit this trend line to the top at 5801.25. That will be a very good area of resistance again. However, if we keep going above that, then we will have to count the number of points, the number of legs, look at possible reversal areas, look at the generic support and resistance areas, and then take a call on the next trade that we want to take. Let us now take a look at the weekly ATR. So last week the ATR ended at 175 points. So if the market is able to traverse 175 points to the upside from here, so if the market is able to do that 175 points to the upside from here, we will find some ourselves somewhere in the 59.30 areas. Now, if you also remember that we have this target to the upside as well as if the market continues to move up to the 6009 areas. So if the market is actually bullish and it can break out of this particular wedge and keep moving to the upside without any strong pullbacks, then there is a good possibility that we are getting to those levels and the week may very well go and end near the 59.30s. However, if we are looking at the downside from here and if we are seeing that we are trying to come down 175 points to the downside, then we will come back to this major support area again, which is at 5589 to the 5590 area. But for that kind of a strong move to the downside, we will have to see that the major breakout points that we have on the lower time frames, mostly on the 1 hour chart, and if we are breaking down the major lows on the 1 hour chart, at that point of time, we may actually expect that the price may actually start to plunge down to those levels, and especially we are near the all-time high one. If the bulls are not strong enough and they start taking profit, the bears may actually get some legs to the downside. Let us now move on to the daily chart. Now, looking at the daily chart, we are still above this breakout area of 57.54, where we broke out of this particular candle. We came below that, and if you see today's chart is also bouncing off from that area, so that 57.54 area on the daily chart is working as a very good area of support at this point. Now, we will have to see if we can get above this particular day's high, Friday's high, and we can target the 5785 to the 5797 areas again. On the daily chart, again, we will have to remember the 5809 will be the top of this particular channel, the 09 to the 07 area. So if we are getting above that 5801.75, that particular trend line that we have on the weekly chart, if we can get above that, maybe the market will try to come up to this 5807 to the 09 area, and then we will have to see if we are still going up. Then we have this measured move target based on this particular pullback. The measured move target is at 5836. If we keep going up, that may be the ultimate target that the bulls may have, at least for tomorrow. Now, one more thing that we need to notice is this was the first leg up that we had on this particular bullish leg. Then we had this first attempt of reversal. This is the second attempt of reversal. So now if the price comes below the low of Friday, then we will have to see that if that 31 level is holding, right? So below 41, we were looking at the 31 to the 18 area. We will have to see if the price comes down there and holds, or otherwise we may actually come down and test the bottom of this channel at 5716 as well. And at that point, it may continue down and hit this particular trend line once again to the bottom, which will be in the 5706 to the 5700 areas to the downside. Now, if we look at the ATR that we had on daily at the close of Friday is around 70 points. So if the market wants to come down 70 points from here, we will find ourselves on the low of this Thursday's candle, and that will be around the 569492 area once again. And if the market is capable of capturing 70 points to the upside from this particular low, then we can go up and hit that 5821 to the 25 area, and then there is a chance that we will just go and tag the 5836 line before there is any pullback that starts. So based on the daily chart, we will have to see if we are breaking down this 5755 line. That will be a very important line. So till now, we have found three important lines: 5755 area, 5741 area, 5731 area, and then we have the 5721 to the 18 area to the downside. These can act as strong supports whenever the price is coming down, and we will have to look out for false breakouts in these areas. On the upside again, the top of Friday from 5774 to the 5777 area, that will be the strong resistance. We have seen that there has been multiple sell-offs from that area, but we have not broken any major lows to the downside, so the bulls are still trying to push up. And whenever the bears are out of this area and the bulls can take it above the 77 to the 81 area, then there's a higher probability that we will come to this previous ATH, which will be at 85, and then we can hit this 98.75, and then our first target will be the 5801.25 line. After that, we will try to see if we can get to the 07 to the 09 area, and if we break out of the 09 area once again, then we can actually hold with a raised stop loss and see if we can get to this 5836 measured move for tomorrow. Now, on the 4-hour chart, after this new low that was created, we have a 5-bar micro channel to the upside, and then we have this first pullback. This particular bar went one tick above this particular high, and then we had the second leg down. So we have two legs down to the downside. We have the two-legged pullback. None of the bars could close below the low of this particular bar, so this is still acting as a bull flag. We are still finding bulls below the low of this particular candle, and at this point of time, this was the first entry long. This candle invalidated that, and now if you're getting another strong candle here on the 4-hour chart, that may actually act as the second entry long and take the price higher. There may be bulls who may be interested to buy above that, and then in the morning we will have to see if we have 2-3 consecutive bull bars on the 4-hour chart, and then there is a pullback. Then we will actually have a good chance to buy the pullback and keep going to the upside based on this particular strong leg that we will be having. If the market wants to come down on the 4-hour chart and do another leg to the downside, that will be below this 5742.75 line. So if we are breaking down that line again, and if we are coming through all these levels, based on at what time we are coming down on the 4-hour chart, we may find support on this particular wedge line. So I will have that drawn here at this point of time. On the other hand, I will also have these two particular trend lines drawn on the 4-hour chart based on, again, at what time we are coming up here. These lines may also act as areas of resistance on the 4-hour chart, especially this particular line, because this was the wedge breakout that happened on this particular candle. We did not get a follow through. In spite of that, we went back up, but now we are back inside the wedge. And if we are looking at the bottom side of the wedge line, this may work as the line of support at the bottom. If we are breaking this particular line down, if you see that we have bounce from this particular line here, if we are breaking this particular line down at any point of time in the 4-hour chart, then another leg to the downside may highly start. And at that point of time, the bears may actually want to do a 1:1 of this particular pullback bar and bring the market to the 5699.5 area to do the 1:1 of that particular move. But then we will have a little bit more support before we can hit that line. So keep an eye on this particular trend line on this 4-hour chart. And I would actually want a 4-hour chart to close above this particular trend line in order to see that the bulls are really strong enough and they are breaking above this trend line and trying to take the price higher. And that is when I will be actually interested to buy and trying to see if we are getting to the higher levels to the upside. However, we are able to break out of this 5773 area on the 4-hour chart. So this area is working as a very stubborn area of resistance, and for price to move up, I would actually need price to go above this 5775 or the 5777 area, and then we will see if we can target something to the upside. Now, if this is just the first leg of the pullback that we have and we just have a two-legged move, this is the first leg and we will have another leg to the downside. At that point of time, I will need to see that there are strong breakouts that are happening here, and in that case, if we are looking for that kind of a measured move of this particular two legs to the downside, that measured move can come at 5712.5. So if the market breaks down, we can again find that the bears are taking profit here and the bulls may again start to buy and take us up 20-25 points to the upside once again. So on the 4-hour chart, we are still within the range of this particular mother bar. We broke the low of the mother bar and we did a 1:1 to the downside, and the bulls picked it up from there again, and we are above the 50% line, which is at 5761. So if you remember last week, 5761 was a very important line for us just because of this mother bar. It is still continuing to be a good support here, but then we will have to see what is happening if we are breaking this down strongly in the morning. If we see that if the second entry long is continuing to the upside and we are breaking above these areas, then we can actually continue up at least till the 50% of this particular bar, which can also be another line of resistance. I will mark that here. And that 50% of that particular bar will be at 5783. So that will be the main level of resistance that we may find on the 4-hour chart. And after that, we can actually move up to the top again, and then we can see if we are getting to the targets to the upside. And if we break out to the upside and we want to do a 1:1 of this particular pullback to the downside, then we can actually get up and see the 5834 area, which is also very close to the 5836 measured move. So if there is a strong bullish pressure tomorrow and we are breaking out of these highs and keep going higher, this will be the area that I will be targeting to the upside. Now, this is where I am thinking that the market is looking a little bearish. On the 1-hour chart, if you see that we had the first leg down, we had the inside bar, then we did another leg down, and then we did a tight trading range above the EMA, broke down the EMA. But with this particular bearish context, after this 3-bar down, it was actually looking like the market will want to come down once more, and it failed right right above the EMA, and we came down all this way till 573433 area. Now after this new low, if you have seen, this was the first entry long, so it failed and came down here. This was the second entry long, but the second entry long is also not very exciting, right? It has a very large wick on the top. So this is actually telling me that if we can actually break down these areas again and post a strong bear bar on this 1 hour chart below the 1 hour EMA, the market can actually come down a lot. We can actually come down to this level. If you see this 5738 to 33 area, this was the last bull flag that we had, and we came down below that. Now if we are breaking this at this point of time and we are getting down below this 5730 areas, the 5721 areas, we can actually come and see somewhere in this particular trading range starting between 5710 and 5698 on the downside. Now on the upside, if we are breaking above this 5775 area, if we see that there are multiple bull bars here that have been created in the morning, and we are getting above this 5775 to the 77 area, then we can get back to this previous ATH and also to the new ATH right here. But we will need to remember that this was the wedge line that was created. It is very similar to the one that we have on the 4 hour chart. So we broke out of this wedge line and then we failed. We have not been able to go and touch that wedge line yet. Now if we continue to see that overnight the price is in a tight trading range on the 1 hour chart and it stays right around the EMA, and then towards the morning we start getting big breakdown bars to the downside, I would actually be bearish for that. I would then see if we can get down to these levels, 5742, 5733, and then we can come down to the 18 to the 21 levels, and then see if we can break it down further to 1310 and to the levels to the downside. Now, on the 1 hour chart, I would also keep an eye on these two particular trend lines from the all-time high that we have. And I will actually like to see, just like the 4 hour chart, I would actually like to see that the price is breaking out of this particular trend line, getting above the top of this 5775 to the 77 area, having a strong close there. That may actually convince me that the bulls may be actually trying to get the price to the higher level. But then once we get to this area, I will again become careful, because this will be a major trend line that the bulls will need to break out to keep going to the upside. So if we look at the RTA chart again, we will see that this 5773 line, this has been the major area of resistance that we have been facing. We have come up there multiple times, but every time we have sold off. This time we sold off. This was the first leg down, second leg down, third leg down, and then we had a first leg up, second leg up, third leg up. We could not do a higher high, and we came down a couple of legs again. So basically we were in this particular trading range all day on Friday, right, between 5773 and 5747. So this is what I will consider to be the trading range. So if this particular trading range wants to break out to the upside and do a 1:1 on the upside, we can come up to the 5799 level again. So that can be another area, the 5800, the big round number. The price can actually sell out from there, or if it keeps on going up, we can first get to this 5808. We can first get to this 5805 to the 5810 level, and then we can target up to the 5825 and then to the 5836 level to the upside. I do not know. And if the bulls are strong enough, we can actually do a 1:2 of this particular move and get to this 5851 line as well. Now, if the breakout happens on the downside and we are taking out this 5733 area as well, then the 1:1 of this particular move will end at the 5695 line, which we have seen on the higher time frames as well, near the 92 to the 94 area. So if the price comes down and breaks it down here, then we may find ourselves in the 5695 area as well. That will be the measured move of the bears on the downside for this particular trading range. Also on the 5-minute chart, we do have this particular trend line that we have to keep an eye on. If we see that the trend line is breaking down, we will have to pay attention that whether it is doing a false breakdown of the line and wants to come back again and do a new extreme to the upside. But as of now, this is the trend line that we have to the downside. We have to make sure that we are aware of that, and then on the upside, the parallel of this trend line can bring us to these highs as well depending on where we are starting in the market. And if we are in this area around the open of the market and the market starts rejecting down, then maybe that we are in the top of the channel and the first target may be back to these breakout areas, and then we will see that if we are breaking down the bottom of this channel, then we can come down to these lows as well, break it down and keep going down further as we discussed on the higher time frames. So there are multiple targets that we have on the upside, but the bulls have to be strong enough and they have to get over these areas and then keep continuing to go to the upside. This whole pullback can also work as a bull flag, and if the price wants to do a 1:1 of that particular bull flag, we will find ourselves somewhere in the 58, 61, 62 areas once again. But for that, we need to see that there is a strong bull move. I do not know if we are coming up here, if we can do it tomorrow or we can do it the day after. But if we are breaking out of these areas and we are holding steady the price above these areas, this 586162 will not be a very far away target for the bulls to reach. So we will look back at this analysis tomorrow morning at 8:45 a.m. EST when we are having the pre-market call, and then we will decide on a trading plan for the day. If you want to join that particular call, the link to the Google Meet is given in the description below. You will also find the link to the Facebook page as well as the free Discord server. You are very welcome to join there. I will end this video here tonight, and I will see you guys again tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of the night, everyone. Bye.